I don't care what the law says. That car is leaving this neighborhood. The woman's voice cracked like thunder across my driveway. Patricia Hendricks stood there, finger jabbing toward the cherry-red Tesla Model S that had just been delivered to my wife. Behind her, a nervous kid with a clipboard shuffled his feet, clearly wishing he was anywhere else. "It's our car, Patricia," I said, keeping my voice level. "Legally purchased. Legally parked. On our property." Her face flushed crimson. Section 9, paragraph 2C of the Community Standards clearly states, all vehicles must conform to. There's no such section, I interrupted. I've read the HOA bylaws, twice, cover to cover. Vehicle color isn't mentioned anywhere. I am the president of this HOA. Her voice went up an octave. I determine what violates community standards, and that, she pointed at the Tesla, like it was radioactive waste, is an eyesore that destroys property values. A sheriff's deputy who'd been cruising the neighborhood on routine patrol pulled up. He got out slowly, sizing up the situation with the weary expression of someone who'd seen this movie before. "Everything all right here, folks?" Patricia spun toward him, her voice suddenly desperate. "Officer, thank God! This man is creating a public disturbance with that monstrosity!" The deputy looked at the gleaming Tesla, then at me, then at my wife standing quietly beside me. "Ma'am, it's a car, parked in their driveway. There's no law against that, but the HOA, the deputy said with infinite patience, cannot tow a vehicle from a private driveway without a court order, and they definitely can't dictate what color car you drive." Patricia's carefully constructed authority crumbled. Her voice became shrill, piercing. "I don't care! I want that car gone! Or I want it for myself." "Yes, that's fair. They should give it to me for community beautification." Silence dropped like a curtain. The deputy's hand moved to his belt. "Ma'am, you need to step back onto your own property, right now." Patricia shot me a look of pure venom before marching back across the street. As the deputy drove away, I looked at my wife. Her joy over her anniversary gift had been poisoned in under 5 minutes. "She's not going to let this go, is she?" my wife asked quietly. "Not a chance," I said, "but neither are we." What Patricia Hendricks didn't know was that before I retired, I'd spent 15 years as an insurance fraud investigator. I'd built cases against people who thought they were untouchable. She had no idea what she'd just started. My name is David Martinez, and this is how I ended up going to war with an HOA president over a red Tesla, and how I caught her trying to steal it on camera. 3 years ago, my wife Elena and I moved to Riverside Meadows, a planned community outside Phoenix, Arizona. The houses were nice, the streets were clean, and the HOA seemed normal. Slightly overbearing maybe, but nothing we couldn't handle. Then Patricia Hendricks got elected president. Patricia wore her authority like expensive jewelry, a cream-colored pantsuit with gold buttons, designer sunglasses that cost more than most people's monthly car payment, and shoes that clicked authoritatively on every surface. She drove a white Escalade with custom rims and had a tendency to patrol the neighborhood in a golf cart equipped with what can only be described as tactical lighting. She lived in the largest house on the ridge, a Mediterranean-style mansion that she'd filled with furniture that looked like it came from a catalog titled Wealthy People. The basics. Everything about her screamed status, control, and the desperate need to be seen as important. Within 6 months of taking office, she'd issued violation notices to half the neighborhood. Grass too tall, trash can visible from the street, holiday decorations left up 2 days past the arbitrary deadline she'd set. Our first notice came for a wreath on our door. Non-approved seasonal decoration, it said. Remove within 48 hours or face a $50 fine. Elena took it down. I filed the notice away. Something about Patricia's tone bothered me. The language was threatening, personal. Over the next 2 years, we got 7 more notices. A crack in our driveway. A garden hose left visible, our mailbox flag being the wrong shade of red. Each time, we complied. Easier than fighting, but I kept every single letter. When our 15th anniversary came up, I wanted to do something special. Elena had been talking about electric cars for months, going on about efficiency and environmental impact with that sparkle in her eyes that told me this wasn't just research, it was passion. So, I ordered a Tesla Model S. Not just any Tesla, a custom cherry red one with every upgrade available. Cost more than my first house, but the look on Elena's face when that delivery truck pulled up made every penny worth it, for exactly 90 seconds. Then Patricia appeared, and the war began. That night, Elena and I sat on our back patio, the joy of the day completely shattered. Elena's usually unshakable. She's a high school principal, deals with chaos daily, never lets anything rattle her. But I could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her fingers drummed against her wine glass. "She's going to make our lives hell, isn't she?" Elena said quietly. "Probably," I admitted. "But here's the thing. People like Patricia operate on intimidation. They expect you to fold. And we're not folding? Not even a little bit. I dealt with Patricia's type before. Insurance fraudsters, scam artists, people who thought they were smarter than everyone else. They all had the same weakness. They got cocky. They overplayed their hand." Patricia had just shown me she didn't just want the car gone, she wanted it for free. That wasn't HOA enforcement. That was theft with a clipboard. "We're going to need to be smart about this," I said. "Document everything. Record everything. Turn this house into a fortress." The next morning, I went to work. First stop? Technology. I upgraded our doorbell camera to a top-of-the-line model with 4K resolution and night vision. Then I added 2 more cameras covering the driveway, the street, and both sides of the house. Motion activated, cloud backup, the works. I installed a GPS tracker in the Tesla, hidden, passive, nearly impossible to detect. Every document went into a fireproof safe. Every bylaw, every notice, every email Patricia had ever sent. I scanned everything, uploaded it to 3 different cloud services, and made physical copies that went to a safe deposit box. My wife watched me work with a mixture of amusement and concern. "You're going full paranoid, aren't you?" "I'm going full prepared," I corrected. "There's a difference." For 3 days, nothing happened. Patricia's golf cart was mysteriously absent from our street. The silence was unsettling. Then, at 1:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, my phone buzzed. Motion detected. Driveway camera. I sat up, heart pounding, and opened the app. The screen showed a tow truck, big, industrial, yellow emergency lights flashing, backing up to the Tesla. I nudged Elena awake. "Showtime." We watched as a heavy-set driver in a grease-stained jumpsuit got out. He kept glancing nervously toward Patricia's house across the street. He unspooled a heavy chain and started hooking it to the Tesla's frame. I tapped the microphone icon on the camera app. My voice boomed out of the tiny speaker. "Good evening, can I help you?" The driver jumped so violently he nearly dropped the chain. Work order. HOA violation. Not from a private driveway," I said calmly. "No court order means no hook. That's my car on my property, and you have no legal authority to touch it." Elena leaned closer to the phone. "Sir, you're being recorded in high-definition video and audio. Trespassing and attempted theft of a vehicle are serious crimes. I'd strongly suggest you unhook my car and leave." The driver looked at the camera, looked at the Tesla, looked across at Patricia's dark house. You could see the moment he realized he'd been set up to take the fall for something illegal. He muttered something under his breath, unhooked the chain fast, and practically ran back to his truck. Within 30 seconds, he was gone, taillights disappearing into the night. We sat there in the dark, adrenaline slowly fading. "She just tried to steal your car," Elena said quietly. "She just tried to steal your car." I agreed, and we have it on video. The next morning, I found a notice taped to our door. Official letterhead. Formal language. A brand new Bylaw 7D, the Driveway Projection and Visual Harmony Ordinance that had apparently been enacted via emergency vote. According to this freshly invented rule, no part of any vehicle could extend beyond an imaginary line drawn from our garage corner to a crack in the sidewalk 20 feet away. The Tesla, being longer than average, violated this completely made-up standard. Fine, $200, plus $50 per day. The violation continued. I read it twice, then started laughing. I couldn't help it. Elena looked over my shoulder. That's not real. No. But she thinks she can make it real through sheer force of will. I called our two best allies in the neighborhood, Marcus and Linda Chen, a retired couple who lived next door. Marcus had been a civil engineer for 40 years. Thin, precise, spoke in facts and data. Linda had been a paralegal, cheerful, chatty, but with a mind like a steel trap. I showed them the notice. Marcus read it, adjusted his glasses, and said in his dry monotone, "This bylaw is procedurally invalid." Emergency bylaws require 48-hour notice to all homeowners and a 2/3 board vote. This was posted yesterday. It's not legally enforceable. Linda took the paper, scanned it, and smiled sweetly. Oh, Patricia's desperate, isn't she? You know what my cousin told me? She works at the bank. Patricia's been taking out loans against her house. Apparently, she's in some financial trouble. That's probably why she wanted your car so badly. She can't afford one herself. Intel gathered, strategy forming. 2 days later, Patricia made her next move. I was outside washing the Tesla, a weekend ritual that had become my own small act of defiance when I saw her marching down the sidewalk. Not in her golf cart this time, but on foot, giving her approach the feeling of a military operation. She wore the same cream pantsuit, gold buttons catching the sun. Behind her trailed a nervous man I vaguely recognized from HOA meetings, Jerry something, the treasurer. He carried a clipboard like a shield. But the real star of Patricia's show was the industrial tape measure she was holding, the kind construction crews use, bright yellow, 50 feet long. "Martinez," she barked, stopping at the edge of my driveway. "We are here to officially measure your non-compliant vehicle." I set down my sponge, leaned against the Tesla's door, and gave her my most infuriatingly pleasant smile. "Patricia, what a surprise! And you brought Jerry. Is this take your lackey to work day?" Jerry went pale. Patricia's jaw tightened. "This is an official inspection mandated by Bylaw 7D. You are currently in violation and accruing daily fines." From my left, Marcus's dry voice cut through the air. "That bylaw isn't valid. Emergency measures require proper notice and board approval. This one's procedurally defective." He didn't even look up from the birdhouse he was repairing. From my right, Linda appeared with her watering can. "Oh, Patricia, is this about the Tesla again? You know, I heard you tried to have it towed last week. My friend's nephew works for Summit Towing. He said you offered the driver cash under the table." Linda had the supernatural ability to weaponize gossip while sounding like she was discussing the weather. Patricia's face turned a dangerous shade of purple. "Measure it, Jerry." I pulled out my phone and started recording. For the record, this is Patricia Hendricks, HOA president, attempting to enforce a fabricated bylaw via trespassing. "We're on the easement," Patricia shrieked. Jerry, sweating profusely, stretched the tape measure from the sidewalk crack to the Tesla's front bumper. 3 inches, he mumbled. "Aha!" Patricia crowed. 3 inches of illegal projection! Write it down! I walked over, phone still recording. "Patricia, quick question. What's the engineering basis for this measurement? Did you consult a surveyor? A traffic engineer? Or did you just pick a random crack that suited your narrative?" Marcus spoke up again. "From a design standpoint, the sightline from any approach angle is unobstructed. The vehicle projection is within standard residential parameters." "I think it's lovely." Linda added, "That red is so vibrant. Brightens up the whole street." Patricia had lost control of the situation. Her ambush had become a public mockery. She glared at me, the tape measure sagging in her hands. "You'll be hearing from the HOA's attorney. This fine is legally binding." "Great! I said, zooming in on her furious face with my phone. "I'll send him the video of your midnight tow attempt. I'm sure he'll find it fascinating." She turned and stormed off, Jerry scrambling behind her like a kicked puppy. Marcus went back to his birdhouse. Linda went back to her roses. I went back to washing the Tesla. But I knew this was just round 2. Patricia had tried intimidation. She'd tried illegal seizure. She'd tried bureaucratic warfare. All had failed, which meant she was going to escalate, and escalate she did. Over the next 2 weeks, violation notices appeared daily. Each one cited a different, made-up infraction. Unauthorized vehicle reflectivity causing visual disruption. Excessive driveway occupation, reducing community aesthetic balance. Non-conforming automotive presence, violating neighborhood harmony. Protocols. It was bureaucratic word salad. None of it meant anything, but each notice came with a $200 fine, and the fines were stacking up. On paper, we now owed the HOA over $3,000. Elena and I decided to fight fire with fire. I started reading the HOA bylaws like they were the most gripping thriller ever written, and buried in the appendices, I found gold. Section 12, subsection F. All auxiliary vehicles, including golf carts and recreational equipment, must maintain proper tire pressure, 30 pounds per square inches, for road surface preservation. The next time Patricia drove past in her golf cart, I was ready. I flagged her down with a friendly wave. "Patricia, morning. Just doing a citizen's compliance check. Mind if I check your tire pressure?" Section 12F requires 30 pounds per square inches exactly. I held up a tire pressure gauge. She stared at me, mouth opening and closing like a fish. She knew the rule was real because she'd probably written it. "I'm busy," she finally stammered, and sped away. From then on, every time I saw her, I'd just hold up the tire gauge and smile. She started taking different routes. Linda became our intelligence officer. She'd accidentally get her mail at the same time as Patricia and launch into long, detailed stories. Stories about friends whose HOA presidents had been sued into bankruptcy. "Oh, Patricia, you should hear what happened to my friend in California." The HOA president got so obsessed with enforcement, she started using HOA funds for personal lawyers. When they audited the books, she lost everything. Can you imagine? Patricia would stand there, face gradually turning green, as Linda cheerfully described legal apocalypse scenarios. I bought 50 plastic flamingos, bright red, matching the Tesla, and created a flamingo honor guard on our lawn, flanking the driveway. A hand-painted sign read, "Aesthetic Harmony Division." When Patricia saw it, she nearly drove her golf cart into a mailbox. Elena played her part perfectly. Every morning, she'd drive the Tesla to work, taking the scenic route past Patricia's house. She'd wave royally as she passed, the picture of unbothered grace. It drove Patricia insane. The car had become more than a vehicle. It was a symbol of our refusal to be bullied, of our happiness, of our complete rejection of her authority. For 2 glorious weeks, we won every skirmish. Patricia was humiliated, mocked, her power eroding daily, but I knew better than to celebrate too soon. A cornered tyrant is a dangerous thing. The shift came on a Wednesday afternoon. Elena had taken the Tesla to run errands, post office, dry cleaning, grocery store. Simple routine. I was home on a conference call when my phone rang with her number. I saw her face on the screen and felt immediate dread. She never called during errands unless something was wrong. "David, I'm fine, but you need to get to the corner of Riverside and Elm. There's been an incident." "What kind of incident?" Patricia hit me. I think she did it on purpose. I was out the door before she finished the sentence. When I arrived, the scene was chaos. The Tesla was pulled to the curb, a small scuff on the rear bumper. Behind it was Patricia's white Escalade, looking like an armored tank. 2 sheriff's deputies were already there, lights flashing. Elena stood calmly by the Tesla, talking to one deputy. Patricia was putting on an Academy Award performance for the other clutching her neck, sobbing about whiplash, claiming Elena had brake-checked her. I ran to Elena. Are you sure you're okay? She nodded, squeezing my arm. I was stopped at the stop sign. I saw her coming in the mirror, way too fast. She hit me deliberately. Not hard, just enough to make it look like an accident. I walked over to where Patricia was performing her one-woman show, and she just stopped for no reason. This car is a menace. I could have been seriously injured, my neck. That's an interesting story, Patricia, I interrupted. Especially since the Tesla has a dash cam, a 4K dash cam, front and rear cameras, records everything, uploads to the cloud in real time. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Patricia's sobs cut off mid-wail, the color drained from her face. Her hand, which had been clutching her neck in supposed agony, dropped to her side. She stared at me, eyes wide with panic. The deputy I'd been approaching raised an eyebrow. You have footage, sir? Absolutely, officer. I can send it to you right now. You'll see my wife's complete stop. You'll see Patricia's vehicle approaching without slowing. You'll even see I was bluffing here, but it was a good bluff. Her smiling just before impact. Patricia started babbling. It's fake. He's a tech person. He can manipulate videos. Ma'am, the deputy said wearily, do you want to see the footage or not? I transferred the file to his tablet. He watched it right there in the street. After a moment, he walked over to Patricia's Escalade and handed her a citation. Following too closely and causing a collision, your insurance will be found at fault. Patricia's face went from white to red to purple in the span of 3 seconds. As a tow truck arrived to take her Escalade, she was claiming it was now undrivable, which was clearly false. She shot me a look of absolute hatred. The game had changed. She'd been willing to cause a real accident to risk Elena's safety. This wasn't about bylaws anymore. This was personal, dangerous, and had to end. But then things got worse. Much worse. 2 days after the staged accident, I got a letter from our insurance company. They were dropping our coverage. I stared at the letter, reading it 3 times, unable to process what I was seeing. Notice of policy cancellation. Ongoing dispute with homeowners association. Disputed property status. Liability concerns. Effective immediately. I called our agent, a guy named Rob, I'd worked with for 5 years. Rob, what the hell is this? His voice was strained. David, I tried to fight it. Corporate says as long as there's an active HOA dispute claiming violations on your property, they can't insure you. Patricia filed formal complaints with 3 different insurance companies, claiming you're operating an illegal vehicle storage business or some nonsense. That's insane. It's our car. I know, but she's buried you in paperwork. Until this resolves, they won't touch you. He hung up. I sat there, letter trembling in my hand. Without insurance, our mortgage company could call the loan. Without a mortgage, we could lose the house. Then the contractor cancellation started. Our air conditioning had been acting up. I'd hired a local company to do repairs. They called to cancel. Look, Mr. Martinez, we heard about your HOA situation. Patricia's been calling around, telling people that anyone who works for you won't get permits for jobs in Riverside Meadows. That's 40 houses. We can't afford to lose that market. 3 more contractors called. Plumber, electrician, landscaper. All the same message. Sorry, can't help you. Patricia wasn't just attacking us legally. She was economically strangling us, cutting off every service, every resource, every lifeline. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with Elena, staring at numbers I didn't want to see. Without insurance, we had 30 days before the bank could act. Legal fees from fighting Patricia? $8,000 so far. Contractor work we couldn't get done? Another $5,000 in deferred maintenance that would become bigger problems? Savings account, $22,000. We were going broke, fighting a war over a car. Elena put her hand over mine. Maybe we should just sell it. The Tesla. Not the house, just the car. Cut our losses. I looked at her, saw the exhaustion in her eyes, and felt something break inside me. That's exactly what she wants, I said. She wants us to give up. To prove that her power is stronger than our rights. But if we lose the house, we won't. David, how can you know that? I didn't have an answer. That night, I barely slept. I kept running scenarios, calculating timelines, trying to figure out how we could hold out long enough to win. Every scenario ended in bankruptcy. For the first time since this started, I felt genuinely afraid. Not of Patricia, of losing everything we'd built. Our home, our stability, our future. Patricia had found our pressure point and was squeezing with both hands. At 3 a.m., lying awake, I thought about just walking away. Selling the Tesla, moving to a neighborhood without an HOA, starting over, somewhere easier. The thought made me sick, but the alternative financial ruin made me sicker. I was about to surrender, about to let Patricia win. Then my phone rang. Unknown number, Arizona area code. Hello? Mr. Martinez? This is Amanda Torres. I'm the HOA's attorney. I think we need to talk. I sat up, suddenly wide awake. About what? About Patricia Hendricks. And about how we're going to stop her before she destroys this entire community. Hope, faint but real, flickered in my chest. I'm listening. Amanda Torres turned out to be a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s who'd been the HOA's legal counsel for 12 years. We met at a coffee shop the next morning, far from Riverside Meadows. She didn't waste time. Mr. Martinez, I'm going to be blunt. Patricia Hendricks is a liability. She's using HOA funds to pursue a personal vendetta. She's fabricating bylaws. She's harassing homeowners and contractors. And if someone doesn't stop her, she's going to get this HOA sued into oblivion. She pulled out a file folder. I've been reviewing your situation. The midnight tow attempt? That could have been criminal trespass. The fake bylaws? Fraud. The staged accident? Insurance, fraud, and assault. If any of this goes to court, the HOA loses. Badly. So what do you want from me? Evidence. Real, documented, unshakable evidence that forces the board to act. Because right now, they're too scared of her to do anything. I thought about my cameras, my recordings, my meticulously organized files. What kind of evidence would you need? Something that shows clear criminal intent, something that even her supporters on the board can't ignore or explain away. I leaned back, an idea forming. What if I could get her on camera trying to steal the Tesla? Amanda's eyes sharpened. That would do it, but it would have to be airtight, no ambiguity, no room for excuses. I think I can arrange that, but I'm going to need some help. Over the next hour, we planned it out. The bait, the trap, the legal safeguards to make sure everything we did was ironclad. When I left that coffee shop, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Patricia Hendricks was about to make the biggest mistake of her life, and we were going to catch every second of it on camera. The plan required 3 elements: bait, Patricia couldn't resist, someone on the inside, and perfect documentation. For the inside man, I needed the tow truck driver who'd tried to take the Tesla that first night. His name was Eddie, and I found him through the company logo I'd captured on our doorbell cam. I met Eddie at a truck stop diner. Big guy, tired eyes, hands stained with grease. He was wary, probably expecting a lawsuit. I put $300 in cash on the table. That's for your time, and for the trouble Patricia's caused you. He stared at the money. What do you want? I want to talk about Patricia Hendricks. I'm not suing you, Eddie. You were just doing a job, but she's going to try again. And when she does, I want you to say yes, but this time, you work for me. I explained the situation, the harassment, the accidents, the financial pressure. She's dangerous, I said, and sooner or later, she's going to get you or your company in real legal trouble. Help me catch her, and I'll make sure you're protected. I offered him another $800. More importantly, I offered him a way out from under Patricia's control. He thought about it, stirring his coffee for a long time. She's crazy, he finally said. My boss is in her pocket, always doing special jobs for her, cash under the table. Yeah, okay, I'm in. With Eddie on board, we moved to phase 2, the bait. Linda became our information courier. During a chance encounter at the grocery store, she launched into a loud, detailed story for Patricia's benefit. "Oh, Patricia, it's so sad. David's mother is ill. He and Elena have to fly to Houston this weekend, maybe longer, and they're so worried about leaving the Tesla. After all these problems, they don't know what to do." Patricia's eyes lit up like someone had plugged her into a wall socket. The next day, Linda sealed it. "I gave them the most wonderful idea." I told them to store the car at Secure Park Storage on Route 60. You know, behind the old warehouse? It's cheap, and they have cameras. They're taking it there Friday night. The trap was set. Secure Park's manager was a guy I'd worked with on an insurance case years ago. For a small fee and written permission, he let me set up our own cameras in the lot, positioned to give perfect coverage of a specific parking space. He also temporarily adjusted the facility's own cameras to avoid that spot. I placed 3 tiny 4K wireless cameras, giving us multiple angles. Eddie was equipped with a high-quality audio recorder hidden in his jacket. Elena and I would be parked in my old surveillance van half a mile away, monitoring everything on a laptop. Marcus and Linda would be lookouts on the access roads. On Friday evening, Elena drove the Tesla to the designated spot. I picked her up, we drove to our command post, and we waited. Hours crawled by. Maybe she'd sensed the trap. Then, at 12:47 a.m., Marcus's voice crackled over the walkie-talkie. "White Escalade entering Route 60. Target is mobile." My heart started hammering. On the laptop, I watched Patricia's Escalade pull up to the storage facility's gate. She punched in a code, probably gotten from the manager she'd bribed and drove through. Minutes later, Eddie's tow truck rumbled into the lot. The cameras showed everything in crystal clear detail. Patricia got out of her Escalade. Even on camera, you could see she was dressed for stealth, dark clothes, none of her usual statement pieces. But her posture was unmistakable, that rigid authority she carried everywhere. She met Eddie near the Tesla. The facility's cameras were too far for audio, but that's where Eddie's wire came in. Later, when I synced the audio with our video, it was perfect. "You're sure you can do this quietly?" Patricia's voice, sharp and tense. "Ma'am, I gotta tell you, there are cameras. The cameras in this section are off. I made arrangements." Her voice was cold, certain. "This vehicle is an HOA violation, multiple unpaid fines, abandoned on community-adjacent property. You're authorized to impound it. I don't have any paperwork. The paperwork will be filed Monday. This is an emergency action." "Ma'am, just so I'm clear, you're ordering me to hook up this specific Tesla and remove it from the storage lot?" "Yes, that's exactly what I'm ordering you to do. Now hurry up before someone sees us." On the laptop screen, I watched Eddie shrug and back his truck up to the Tesla. Watched him hook the chain, watched Elena's beautiful anniversary gift get lifted onto the truck bed. It hurt to see, but I knew this was the final piece. Patricia hadn't just taken the bait, she'd swallowed it whole. Eddie unhooked the car immediately after, just as we'd planned. We had everything we needed. We called the manager, who called the police. By the time the deputies arrived, we had Eddie's signed statement, the video from 3 angles, the audio recording, and a confession that would make any prosecutor weep with joy. Patricia Hendricks had just committed felony attempted theft on camera with audio. The war was over. The annual HOA meeting was scheduled for the following Thursday. Perfect timing. I spent the week organizing evidence the way I used to for insurance fraud cases. Chronologically, clearly labeled, impossible to dispute. Amanda Torres, the HOA attorney, had quietly informed the board that a matter of grave importance would be presented at the meeting. She recommended they allow extended time for homeowner comments. The night of the meeting, the community clubhouse was packed. Every seat filled, people standing in the back. Word had spread that something big was coming. Patricia sat at the head table with her board members, looking smug and in control. She wore her armor, the cream pantsuit, gold jewelry, designer glasses. This was her kingdom, and she knew it. She ran through the agenda with practiced efficiency. Budget report, landscaping committee, architectural review. Her voice dripped with self-importance. Finally, open forum for homeowner concerns. Please limit comments to 2 minutes. I stood up. David Martinez, 247 Riverside Drive. I have a presentation concerning HOA governance and potential legal liability. Patricia's eyes narrowed. This is a forum, Mr. Martinez, not a theater. The HOA attorney requested this, I said calmly. Amanda Torres stood in the front row. I did. The board needs to see this. Patricia looked trapped but nodded curtly. Marcus had already set up a projector screen. I connected my laptop. The first image, the cherry red Tesla in our driveway, gleaming in the sun. This is the car, my wife's anniversary gift. It's also been the target of a months-long campaign of harassment and criminal activity. I clicked to the next slide. Let's start at the beginning. I played the cell phone footage from the driveway confrontation. The entire room heard Patricia's unhinged scream. I want that car for myself! Gasps rippled through the crowd. Next, the doorbell camera footage of the midnight tow attempt. My amplified voice, the nervous driver, his admission he was there on HOA orders. Then the tape measure ambush. People actually laughed at the absurdity. The voicemails came next. Patricia's threatening messages filled the room. The laughter died. Then the dashcam footage. The room watched in shocked silence as Patricia's Escalade deliberately tapped the Tesla's bumper. This is your HOA president, I said, my voice cold, committing insurance fraud. Patricia was on her feet. This is fake. Doctored videos. He's lying. Ma'am, Amanda Torres said sharply. Sit down. Now. For the finale, I played the storage lot footage. 3 camera angles, edited together perfectly. Patricia arriving, meeting Eddie, pointing at the Tesla. Then the audio played over the silent video. The entire room heard her order the theft, heard her dismiss the need for paperwork, heard her condemn herself with her own words. When it ended, there was absolute silence. Then chaos erupted. Thief, resign, criminal. The board members were physically pushing their chairs away from Patricia as if she were contagious. Patricia stood there, face pale, her carefully constructed authority shattered. She looked around desperately, found no allies, and bolted for the side exit. But she didn't run to her car. She stormed back into the lobby where I was unplugging my laptop. All her calculated control was gone, replaced by raw fury. You! She screamed, jabbing her finger at my chest. You ruined me! You think you're so clever with your cameras and your tricks? I'll sue you for everything! I didn't say a word. Just looked at her with something like pity. That enraged her more. With a guttural scream, she shoved me hard. I stumbled back. Elena immediately stepped between us. Patricia, that's enough. Go home. Flashing lights swept across the parking lot. 2 sheriff's cars, lights on but sirens off. Amanda Torres had called them preemptively, expecting trouble. A deputy, the same one from the original driveway confrontation, got out and sighed. Ma'am, step away from them. Right now. Patricia spun on him. He assaulted me. He's been harassing. Ma'am, I have 50 witnesses who just saw you assault him. I'm asking you one more time. Realizing even the police weren't on her side, Patricia deflated. She was just a woman in a parking lot. Her power evaporated. She shot me one last look of pure hatred, then walked to her Escalade. The crowd parted for her like water. As she drove away, Marcus stepped forward with his ever-present clipboard. At the top of the page, petition for immediate recall of HOA President Patricia Hendricks. All right, folks, he announced in his usual deadpan. Let's make this official. A line formed instantly. Neighbor after neighbor signed. Elena took my hand, her fingers warm and steady. We had done it. The aftermath was swift. Patricia resigned the next day. A week later, a for sale sign went up at her mansion. The new board, with Marcus as acting president, immediately rescinded all of Patricia's fake bylaws. They refunded our fines with a formal apology and a check to cover legal costs. They also discovered Patricia had spent over $15,000 in HOA funds on her personal crusade, printing fake notices, hiring private towing companies, paying for consultants who were just friends giving her bad legal advice. The board organized a community yard sale to recoup costs. The centerpiece? Patricia's old golf cart, stripped of its ridiculous light bar. It sold for $800 to a family who wanted it for hauling garden supplies. All proceeds went to a local children's hospital. On a perfect Saturday morning, 3 weeks later, Elena and I took the Tesla for a long drive. We cruised through Riverside Meadows for the first time in months, without tension, without watching for Patricia's Escalade, without fear. Neighbors waved, smiled, gave us thumbs up. The car had become a legend, the Tesla, that toppled a tyrant. We hit the open desert roads. The electric motor hummed. The Arizona sun warmed our faces. Elena looked over at me, that brilliant smile from the delivery day finally back. You know what I was thinking? Was all of this worth it? All the stress and fighting? I reached over and took her hand. It was never about the car, I said. The car was just the battlefield. It was about not letting someone decide how we live our lives. About proof being stronger than power. She squeezed my fingers. You really believe that? That proof beats power? We just spent 3 months proving it. We drove for hours with no destination, just enjoying the car, the road, and the hard-won peace. The Tesla stayed parked in our driveway after that, a permanent fixture. Cherry red, gleaming, unmissable. Every time I saw it, I thought about Patricia's line. I want that car for myself. Same, Patricia, same. But the difference between us was simple. She thought power meant taking what she wanted. I knew proof meant protecting what was mine. And in the end, proof always wins.